Hey everybody, now that we have defeated the Striaton City gym leader, we can walk outside and we'll be greeted by a new character. Her name is Fennel, and she is a scientist. So she's going to take you upstairs to her lab. No sexual innuendo intended. But... and she is going to ask you to do something for her. She needs Dream Mist to further her studies, I think she says. So she gives you Cut, which will allow you to go to the Dreamyard again and cut down that bush that was there before. But the first thing that I'm going to do is go south of Striaton City, back to Route 2, where there's also a tree that we can cut down, or a bush. And actually, before that even, I need to actually catch a Pokemon that I can teach Cut. So, the only two Pokemon that you can catch right now that can learn Cut are Purloin and Patrat. So, if you haven't already caught either of those, go ahead and do that now. Although, I guess Snivy can also learn Cut, and probably the other starters as well. But Cut isn't that good of a move, so considering I'm going to be using Snivy for the rest of the game, I probably don't want to teach him Cut, because he can learn much better moves. So the first item you see here is a Super Potion, and then off to the west is a Great Ball. And that's all we can do in Route 2, considering we don't have strength, so we can't move that boulder that's at the very beginning of the route. So, now we're finally going to go back to the Dreamyard and cut down that bush after I heal my Pokemon real quick. So we're going back to the Dreamyard, and we are going to try to find ourselves some Dream Mist from a Muna. Or Muna, but Muna sounds much better, I think. So as soon as you try to walk through this little doorway, Bianca comes up and ruins the party, like usual. And then we just walk through this next doorway, and we hear, or we attempt to, and we hear Muna's cry. So, walk north through this doorway, and you'll find Muna. But before you know it, she runs away. And then eventually some Team Plasma Grunts show up, which I think are the first Team Plasma Grunts we actually get to battle. So, they also want the Dream Mist, and we don't really know why yet. But there the Grunt kicks the Muna, which kind of, as far as the story goes, it kind of solidifies the fact that, hey, we're Team Plasma and we're the bad guys. Which I guess is smart, but anyway, here we go. We're finally getting into this battle. It's our first Team Plasma Grunt. This time we're facing a male one, and typically they use, I think pretty much every single Plasma Grunt uses either A, a Patrat or Watchog, or B, a Purloin or a Liepard. Like, every single one always has this. And actually, just to kind of prove this, the first one that we battled right there had a Patrat, and now this one has a Purloin. So that's kind of like portraying the stereotype of every other Team Plasma Grunt in the game. And they, they tend to have other Pokemon as well towards the end of the game, but for now, pretty much every single one only has one of those two Pokemon, which you've probably fought dozens of right now by this point, so not a big deal. And here Gatesis shows up, and then kind of a second form of him shows up, and then he finally shows up, and this is like the real him. And I think he says that they're not supposed to be abusing the Pokemon, and then they run off, since we've beat him. And then Musharna, the evolution of Muna, shows up. And eventually they're going to leave after Fennel shows up here. And they're going to leave the Dream Mist behind them. And before you even get a chance to pick it up, Fennel shows up and steals it from you. But we were going to give it to her anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And after all of this talking, we have to go back to Fendel's laboratory back in Stryton City. But first, there's actually some items that we can get here. And unfortunately, we can't go through all of the Dreamyard because there's a section of it that is only accessible after the Elite Four. So here we're picking up some items. There's a paralyzed heal. And then walking up these stairs off to the east, we find a repel, which is probably like the most useful item in the game because wild Pokemon battles are annoying as hell when you just want to get through an area. And then lastly, there's a potion, and that's everything we can do in the Dreamyard right now. If you want to catch some Pokemon, there's, of course, Munna that you can catch, which is a pretty good Pokemon. It has a lot of HP. I think its base HP is like off the charts pretty much. And once it evolves into Musharna, you can have it with like Hypnosis and Moonlight. So you kind of set the opponent's Pokemon to sleep, and then you can use Moonlight to heal yourself, and then use Psybeam, which is like a really badass attack. So Musharna is really good, actually, and I would definitely suggest catching one. But here we get the Sea Gear, which is kind of like your personal gateway to accessing different features of Pokemon Black and White. And the first thing is online, which you can use GameSync, which he's explaining here, which lets you go to Pokemon-GL.com and you can play Flash games and, you know, kind of dumb things like that. But the cool thing about it is you can unlock new Pokemon, like older Pokemon from previous generations, and download them to your game. And also you can download Sea Gear skins and Pokédex skins and stuff like that. It's kind of a cool idea. And there her little assistant gave you the Pal Pad, which is used to document friend codes. Friend codes are like the worst thing ever. I think they are... It's just like a random string of 12 digits, 12 numbers, which is the worst thing ever. I don't know why they don't just go the same way as like Sony and Microsoft. I don't know why Nintendo doesn't do that, but whatever. Nintendo's falling behind, and that's why they're eventually going to fail, I think. But anyway, I'll probably talk about that later. We are now in Route 3, and I'll see you in the next video.